Yesterday morning, I woke from having this dream, and in this dream, I was in this large restaurant. It was what I would call fancy and things. And one gentleman who was in the room, sitting at a table next to me, he had broken some of the pottery or the dishware and things like that. And in most restaurants, that's not a problem, but for whatever reason, he decided to hide the pottery, and I think he decided to hide it because he thought that would be the better choice. And when I went over to pay my bill as I was leaving, he was seated at the table, and there was a police officer standing next to him, and there was this very large, authoritative man who was seated at the table, and they were seated across this big, kind of like banquet table. And I felt that the man was connected to the restaurant, though he may well have been a police officer as well. And the broken pieces were on the table, and they were having a conversation about the broken pottery and everything. And while he was talking, I saw that there was broken flooring. Like this was this large tile floor that was under things, and like I say, it was fancy and it was clean. But somehow this tiling had been broken underneath there as well. And as I was getting ready to leave, the accused man picked up a knife and he walked over to the wall, and the wall had like plaster on it and everything, and it was, you know, very, very, very beautiful and everything. And he walked over and he took this knife and he started to poke at the wall, at the plaster and everything, and I awoke. And I felt like the restaurant was representative of life, and it was a place of life. And as I thought about it, I was talking to a friend of mine, and perhaps it represents the church itself. But in this, there was a misunderstanding, and hiding things never works. And I know the scriptures that talk about the exposure and things like that, and everybody prays to, that all things would be subject to light and all that stuff. But in this case, I felt it related in this particular man's life, and I think it was representative of a part of the church that carries shame for things. And this shame began at an early age. And I want to say that I believe the church can do better at helping people. There's a lot of people that carry shame. While I was away last week, I had the opportunity to meet with this young man. He was from Africa. And he told me later he was very, when I went to shake his hand, he shook very limply and everything like that. And I just looked at the guy, and later he came up and he said, after I got done sharing, he was very happy that I shared, and he had been afraid of people who were prophets. And the next day I saw him, and he came up and he greeted me at the door, and he shook my hand, and it was firm and it was secure, and his countenance had changed. I mean, that's one of the beauties of the prophetic, that we can lift people out of their circumstances. We can change things. And if people are allowed to continue in their shame, there's consequences. And I think we need to help people learn to heal from their past. Our foundation, I think it's representative of the floor, not God himself, but the floor itself, and understanding the value. And I think it's important to how we stand. The law causes us to stumble, and I think that was part and parcel why the police officer, and maybe both of them were police officers, were there. And I think we need to be careful what we poke at. I think we need to major on love, and I think we need to exercise grace, and I think we need to extend mercy, and we have to be loving enough to not let people stay in the circumstances and the situations they're in. So just wanted to share that. I love you. Thanks. God bless you.